So today we're actually going to discuss a topic that I know I actually seen some videos on YouTube. So this topic is actually about the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14. Now eventually the iPhone 13 is still in stores and so does the iPhone 14. So the only phones that they actually have in the Apple Store currently is the iPhone 13, the iPhone 13 mini, the 12 if I'm not mistaken, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, and the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus. Okay, so eventually there's been a thing right here to say what you can buy and what you can't buy. Now the iPhone 14 is very expensive. It costs like 5,000 something something depending on which country you're staying at. Sometimes the phones can be very pricey, so just be a little careful, you know. Okay, for the special discount on the Apple, according to that, the special discount actually cost 2,637 ringgit. If I'm not really mistaken, I could be wrong, because there's actually a special discount that I've been actually trying to talk to you about it, you know. Now there's also another thing right here. So basically they actually do have in 6 colors. Again, I was saying the green one that I actually saw on the Apple Store wasn't that nice, you know. It wasn't really that nice and I don't like that color. So the colors that we're gonna actually buy is either Starlight or pink, because it's the best color. But unfortunately the iPhone 13 128 gigabytes do not have stock yet, because one of the Apple owners need to call my dad for this. Okay, so that's like the big problem, and unfortunately the AirPods and the case that I'll be having will actually be delayed in January, unfortunately. For the circumstances for this, we haven't got the phone yet. So eventually, it's not a problem. I think I can just hang on to it for a while, you know. I can really hang on to it. So, what features does it have for iPhone 13? So the special features that it has is the splash, water, and dust resistant. It has an A15 Bionic chip, the camera which has the 12MP camera system. Now you wouldn't find it on any older phones because one, this will only feature the iPhone 13 and up. If I'm not really mistaken, I could be wrong, you know. I'm not really a phone expert, but I know what you can just do. So should you buy like the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 13 mini? In my opinion, you should actually buy the iPhone 13 because the mini is actually very small and it's not suitable for people who have dimmed eyesight, I guess. Okay, as long as the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro and Pro Max is here, unfortunately for that, it definitely does have a smaller notch compared to the iPhone 13. It actually has the selfie camera with a sensor stage, which is wide FOV. It has a new camera layout and it's up to 256 gigabyte storage for the 13 and the 13 mini, while the Pro and Pro Max is up to 512 gigabyte of storage. It also has a sensor shift image stabilization. And Apple definitely did unveil the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max last year. Even though it's still discontinued, you'll still be able to buy it, but it's actually available at authorized sellers, if I'm not mistaken. Compact Asia actually does sell like second-hand phones, so basically the person is actually using it. Now there's apparently a new design right here, and you can zoom in whenever you want. There's also a cinematic mode for the iPhone 13 as well, and it has a notch, you know. This one has a notch, while the iPhone 14 does have a notch at some point, but the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus and Pro don't have the notch anymore. Instead, it is a notchless phone, you know. It's like a small notchless phone. It's the shape of a pill, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, there are actually some hidden features for the iPhone 13 as well. Okay, now before we get to the iPhone 14, there is something I really need to say about this. So, the iOS 16 actually allows you to do a lot of stuff, such as customizing your own profile, making color fonts, and as well as this, the iPhone 14 is actually adjacent to the iPhone 13 because of the camera width. The camera width is actually the same because they have two sides on it. So eventually, the iPhone 13 has a 6.1-inch Super Retina display. It also has a A15 Bionic chipset. It's also the same because the iPhone 14 also features this gigabyte number starting from iPhone 13. It also started from 128 because the last time the iPhone 12 was released back 2 years ago, it actually had 64 gigabytes, 128 gigabyte, 256, and the 512 gigabyte. So the iPhone 14 definitely does have a dynamic island, and it always features praise. So basically, a lot of people are suggesting this. Shouldn't you really buy the iPhone 14? Or should you wait? Okay, if you're actually using this iPhone 11 or any other phones like the oldest generation of the Apple phone, sometimes it will recommend you to upgrade an iPhone 14 or even an iPhone 13. For the last 3 years, the Apple has made enough changes for features including the battery life, the performance, screen quality, cameras, and durability to buy a new iPhone. Now, eventually, the discounted iPhone 13 is such a great value is because ever since the iPhone 14 was released in September this year, many people were actually going to buy it. But since there was actually a large crowd, there was nothing you can do about it. So, once I actually searched it up online on the Apple Store right here, this is what I'm actually going to buy. So, actually, I have to wait until they will tell me like which colors are going to be there, which colors are available, because I know there's actually the green color part in the iPhone store, and that's the only one available when I saw it last week. Okay, so the iPhone 14 is actually bigger and bigger, so it costs around like 4,199 ringgit. It depends on how much. It depends on which currency and which like state you're staying, like which country. As for the iPhone 14 Pro, it costs like a lot of money and it's with super fast 5G. As well as this, I'm really going to tell you something about the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro. The iPhone 14 actually does have like the same measurement as the iPhone 13. The cameras are actually adjacent to each other. The screen is actually more thicker as well, and it's actually the longest battery life. So eventually, I wanted to say this, they actually do have 5 fantastic colors, and it's durable as well. It sails through spills. It's also water resistant just like the iPhone 13, and the ceramic shield is also featured on the iPhone 14. Starting from iOS 16, they have a photo, font, and widgets for your phone, so you can decorate your lock screen whenever you want, right here. So basically, when I get the new phone, I'll actually be decorating the font. I know some things won't change, but except for the font, they will change. Okay, so it actually has 26 hours with the video playback for the iPhone 14 Plus, up to 20 hours for iPhone 14, and it's a MagSafe charger as well. The MagSafe charger also comes with the iPhone 13 as well. It's 21% more than the screen, and it's actually big. You see right here? So there was actually like a notchless phone for the Pro and Pro Max. Now the reason why they just say like we have to get the iPhone 13 instead of the iPhone 14 is because the iPhone 13 is more popular than the iPhone 14. If you really think that's right, then it's your opinion. There's no right or wrong way of saying that. So there's actually a selfie that flips you over into better low light photos. It's also the A15 Bionic fast that lasts. The iPhone 14 has the same Speedy Chip as in the iPhone 13 Pro. The A15 has a 5-core GPU power with the latest features and makes it graphically intense for games and AR apps that alter field. So eventually this is the same thing that you can apparently see the iPhone in models of AR. And iOS 16 is powerful. Now iOS 16 is actually the newest upgrade for the iPhone. The iPhone 14 Pro definitely does have the notchless phone, and when you press on it, they actually have a new magical way to interact with the phone with the safety feature that is designed to save lives as well. It has a 48 MP innovative for the camera that has a mind-blowing detail. Okay, so the iPhone 14 definitely does come in 5 colors, and eventually the phone is designed to chop up to the ground in your privacy. As well as this, there is a dynamic island as well, but it's only available for the Pro and the Pro Max. It's now your lock screen is always glanceable when you just turn off, and it's actually the battery life all day. And iOS 16 actually customizes your lock screen. There's no right or wrong to actually customize it, and they have a display it's up to 2 times brilliant and brighter than the sun. So basically, crash detection actually calls for help, and this only includes the iPhone 14 Pro. It can detect a severe car crash and then call your emergency services and notify your contacts. This apparently goes to the Pro as well, and it's up to 4x for the resolution for the jaw-dropping cropping phone. Okay. So yeah, that's actually like a bit of a summary about the iPhone 14 Pro. Now, the iOS 16 also includes the iPhone 13 as well, because the iOS only allows iPhone 8 and up. If it's not the iPhone 8 and up, like let's say for example if it's iPhone 6s Plus or less, you can't really install the update because the iOS 15 is actually the last update before they move on to the iOS 16. In iOS 16, you get to copy and paste your photos and share the moments together. You can also edit the message. Now my phone doesn't work here, so I'm not going to use it anymore from next year onwards. Okay? And as well as this, there are lots of apps that can actually be here when you're buying the new phone. These apps are not paid, they are from Apple. And the reason why they did this is because they wanted to have better support on the phone as well. Okay. So there's also a family content, so eventually I really don't need it. So I'm really sorry. So there's actually like CarPlay, privacy and security, accessibility, door detection, and provide a friend. Hear me? And there's also weather, freedom. Freeform is actually a new app. It's coming later this year, like next year. The Apple TV, the Game Center, reminders, Memoji. Now Memoji is actually available on newer phones. On the iOS 15, it's actually available, but unfortunately it's not applicable to that. So iOS 16 is compatible with these devices from iPhone 8 and up, So if you want to upgrade to the iOS 16, this is very important because you're not going to use this phone forever, if I'm not mistaken. As for the AirPods, I'm actually going to get the AirPods soon along with the case, but we're not really that sure when is the iPhone 13 going to be released for a special discount. Okay, I promise, alright? I promise I'll get the phone and then I can film it to see what I really have, okay? So if you want to install the iOS 16, be sure to back up your device with the iCloud for your computer. You have to plug in the device and connect the internet with the Wi-Fi. When you go to the settings, you have to tap the general software update. If you see one or more software update available, then you have to upgrade it, So my phone right here is actually the iOS 15.7. So basically, if you download and install, then yeah, it's easy. It's easy and simple. So actually, that's all for now. Let's see how many minutes. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, that's actually all for now, and thanks for watching this video. I know I'll be getting a new phone soon, but trust me, the iPhone 13 is gonna look great as the one I have, Okay, but anyways guys, that's all for now that I really have to say, and this is me signing off.